We'll start by heading to our FAFSA website. That's FAFSA.gov. We're going to go to Start here. And I'm going to use my daughter's name. She's 11. And then we want to start our FAFSA. If you have completed a FAFSA in years past, this area right here will say Renewal FAFSA, which means your demographic information would remain the same. You would just need to import new financial data this year. This password is a word that you will create. This is not your FAFSA PIN number. It's simply a password in case you need to log back in at a different time to make an edit to your FAFSA. Here are some helpful tips if you would like to use them. Otherwise, you can always call our office and we'd be happy to help you. So here some of the demographic is the same. If there is a middle initial that appears on your Social Security card, you must put this in order for it to pass the Social Security check. Parents, you can put in your email address here if you'd rather. Rather than the student's email address, it will be the mode of communication that I will begin communicating with you as far as the next step on the financial aid process. This question here about the driver's license information, it is optional, so you are not required to enter your driver's license information, but you're welcome to if you would like. Now please keep in mind this is for the 12-13 school year, so we're going to say that Madison has completed her high school diploma requirements and she will be a first-time freshman coming in. If you are bringing transfer credits into Northland for next fall, you would want to say you have attended college before. That will flag my office that you are bringing transfer credits in, and we'll expect those to come across on a transcript from a community college. You will be working on your first bachelor's degree. If you already have a bachelor's degree, you are not eligible for any Pell Grant money, so you want to be sure that you are stating you are pursuing your first bachelor's degree. This question here for work study, it does flag my office as far as if I should discuss work study options with you. If you don't know, feel free to say, don't know. This question is important. Will you have your first bachelor's degree before July 2012? If you answered yes to this question, you would not be eligible for Pell Grants, so be sure you're answering this question thoroughly. This question is not required. It's just convenient, so please feel free to leave it blank if you so choose. Or as a homeschool student, you can write homeschool in here. You would just not need to confirm the information. Here's where you'll put in Northland school code or any other school that you will be using. Our number is 038725. If you were to do the search, you would see that Northland International University is very similar in number to Northland College. You want to make sure that you have the one listed in Dunbar, Wisconsin. Okay. Then you just want to confirm that's your search, and we are adding it. Again, you can select up to 10 schools to receive your information. Then you need to select your housing plan. Will you be living on campus in the dorms with your parents or off campus as an independent student? These questions here will determine your dependency status on the FAFSA. So having a birth date before January 1, 1989 means you will turn 24 this year and you are considered independent for FAFSA purposes. If you are married, that would make you independent. or if you are working on a master's program, if you have children, or if you have dependents other than children or your spouse. If you are currently serving as active duty, you are independent or a veteran of the armed forces. For this question, at any time since the age of 13, were you in a dependency situation or a foster care situation or a ward of the court? We would need some sort of documentation. Typically, this is a letter from a pastor, a social worker, or some sort of guidance counselor from your school that could verify the accuracy of this information. If you answer yes to any of these last questions, that you are an emancipated minor or you are in a legal guardianship or at risk of being homeless, we would need documentation. And again, those can be letters of reference from a pastor, some sort of court liaison that you used, or a relative that has helped you during the transition time. If you are unable to provide parental information, you may skip this part, but at some point in time we will need to go back and fill that in. For now, we'll go ahead and put in parental information. Please be sure again on this screen that information regarding the name is as it appears on the Social Security card. The Social Security Administration will be running a check on this information, and we want to make sure that there are no slips in the road. Oftentimes we find moms who have not updated from their maiden name to their married name according to the Social Security Administration. If that is the case, then we would need you to write in your maiden name here. This is not the name you would use on a tax return. That's not the match here. The match is to what appears on the Social Security card itself. The question here on household size is reflecting who in your home is being supported by the income to that home. So if you have an older sibling who has moved home for some reason after college and your parents are financially supporting them, then you want to be sure to include that person in your household size. Say you have an older sister and she's getting married in June. She would not be part of the household size during the academic year of 2012-2013. So this household size number needs to reflect mom and dad and all the siblings that reside at home, including the college student. How many people in your household will be college students during the 12-13 academic year? This includes anyone going to school at least half-time. So if you have a sibling at home that's doing a local community college and they are considered half-time enrolled, then you want to be sure to include them in this number. If a student is unsure whether or not they will be attending school, please include them in this number and we can make edits later if their plans change. If your taxes are not yet done, you can answer the question, will file, for the tax return, and you can make estimated numbers. If your taxes are already completed, you want to say already completed, and it'll take you to an IRS data retrieval tool. If any of these issues exist, you will not be able to use the IRS data retrieval tool. You will need to request an IRS tax transcript from the IRS. There is a form online and we have a link on our webpage. You can complete the form. There are two different forms. One form, the transcript will be sent directly to you and you can forward it to our office. A second form, you can complete and have the transcript sent directly to our office. We can provide a copy to you if that is appropriate. In this case, none of these situations apply for Madison. So we will be leaving the FAFSA website. Don't worry, your FAFSA is saved. We will be transferring over to the IRS site. This information has come over from the FAFSA information that you have already completed. You'll need to verify your filing status and the address that you used on the tax return itself. Please be sure that the address is exactly as it appears on the address on the tax return. This is the necessary information coming from the tax return that is necessary on the FAFSA itself. If you click here and transfer, this information is now populating your FAFSA. You will see lines that say transferred from IRS. Please do not change the information in that box. What will happen is my office will be flagged that says you did use the IRS data retrieval piece, but you changed the information. I would still then need to see an IRS tax transcript to verify the information. So please do not change any information that is highlighted in bold that says transferred from the IRS. Having this information come directly from the IRS means that my office does not need to see your tax return. There's no information for me to validate. This question, as of today, is either of your parents a dislocated worker? This means if one of your parents is currently unemployed, are they looking to be laid off recently? You would answer yes to this question. This flags me that there are extenuating circumstances to your finances that we need to pursue through a professional judgment, in which case we come back to the FAFSA at a later date and we change these income numbers so that the 2011 tax return would accurately reflect your 2012 actual income. In this case, for Madison's information, the answer is no. Again, this information has been transferred from the IRS, so we do not want to change any of those pieces of information. If you had child support paid, you would check the box and you would fill in that information as appropriate. As of today, what is your parents' total current balance of cash, savings, and checking? You don't want to complete the FAFSA the day you get your paycheck. You want to make sure that this is accurately reflecting the amount of money that you have on hand after your bills are paid. In this case, we're just going to put $1. When it comes to net worth of investments, this does include real estate, but not your primary residence. You would not put the equity of your home. If your parents have another home, a vacation home, a cabin on a lake somewhere, or they have a rental property, that amount would be put in this investment question. This is also not including any retirement accounts. So if your parents have 401ks or any other funds, pension funds from their businesses or their employer, that information is not to be included on this investment question. The net worth of current business, only answer this question if the business has more than 100 employees. If the business does not have more than 100 employees, the answer is 0. Now here you'd see our colors have changed to blue, meaning we're working on the student information, not the parent information anymore. In this case, Madison did not have any taxes that she had to file because she did not have enough income. So we're going to say she's not going to file a tax return. We're going to pretend that Madison did some babysitting and some odd jobs throughout 2011 and she earned $500. She did not have any child support or taxable earnings from work studies. She did not have grant or scholarship reported to the IRS. Just so you know, this question, grant or scholarship reported to the IRS, means that the student had grants and scholarships in excess of their qualified charges. Qualified charges meaning tuition and fees. So if your grants and scholarships are greater than your tuition and fees, you would need to report that as additional income on line 7 of your tax return. Do not take into account loans, and room and board charges are not qualified expenses. In this case, none of this other information applies to Madison. We're going to say that Madison, while she made $500, she has $200 in the bank right now. Her investments are 0 and her business is 0. For a student's account here, up to 50% of this can be added to the EFC number at the end of the FAFSA. It calculates the EFC, the expected family contribution. You do not want to have the student with a large savings account the day you complete your FAFSA. Ideally, you want that account to be under $500 so that we're not inflating the EFC beyond what it should be because the student has saved and been a good steward of their monies. What many students will do is prepay their tuition at Northland up to a year in advance. This allows them to drop the savings account down to a more manageable level. A second thing they'll do is make purchases that they know they were already planning to make before college. Maybe purchasing the plane ticket to come in August. Maybe they are going to purchase a laptop or some other dorm supplies. Go ahead and spend that money so that the savings account is at a reasonable level. The last option that students will do is to transfer money to mom's savings account, or mom will set up a separate savings account. Parents are not as impacted with the cash and savings question as a student is. Parents can easily have up to $40,000 in their cash savings and checking without being penalized on the FAFSA EFC. However, a student will be impacted by having money set aside. We have successfully finished our FAFSA, and now we're just going to sign using our PIN numbers.